Welcome everybody in to another edition of the Nice Job podcast. The Nice Job live chats presented by Engage. It's real-time social proof that you can get absolutely for free. My guest today, well, you may know him from a lot of different places, but I don't want to start with an intro like that because I feel that people that might not know this individual, they want to kind of get up to speed and they want to get to the point where they can just quickly sort of write notes. So Tommy, A1 Garage Doors, home service expert, all that. Give us kind of a baseline. Who is Tommy Mello? Where you come from, and how'd you get started to being who you are?
That's a loaded question. First of all, pleasure being on here today. I appreciate it, Sean. I always looked up to my dad. My dad taught me how to be competitive, play sports, do business. My mom just was a big fan of me. My whole life still is. Texts me every day, Facebooks me, calls me, tells me how much she loves me. So my dad kind of gave me a dream and a vision. My mom gave me the support to get there. I'm competitive. And my mom and dad got a divorce when I was young, probably 6 or 7. And I didn't want to bother them with money because that was part of the reason. So I always stayed up at night wondering what I could do to help them out with money. So I became infatuated with just not ever putting someone I love through what they went through. And I said, once money's out of the way, I could go on to my next chapter. And maybe I'm there today, maybe not. But I don't think if I really wanted to, I could quit working. And I've got enough to forward develop myself in a way of compound interest. But I started working and washing dishes when I was 12. I was mowing lawns, shoveling snow. But there's a few things. Number one is I have to be number one. I hate to lose. And I love sales and I love marketing. Those are my two biggest passions. I've learned leadership. I hated the word leadership. I've learned culture. I used to hate that word. And I love them now. I love operations, but I used to hate it. I love accounting and finance, but I used to hate them. So these are all the things that I've kind of had to learn to love. If you looked at my personality type, I'm a high D, secondary I. And that's not a label for me, but that's just saying I'm quick to the point. I live in Mars and look down on my company like it's Earth. And now I'm just a bottleneck finder. I find bottlenecks and I'm pushing the gas so hard all the time that people are like, dude, we got to slow down a little bit. And I'm like, okay, we'll slow down a little bit. But everybody else is my brakes and I'm the gas. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I love shooting pool. I love going to movies. I love golfing. I love traveling. I love doing whatever I want with whoever I want, whenever the hell I want to do it. And that's the difference of what I consider success. I always tell people, Sean, I knew when I left town for a month that I was successful when the company grew and I wasn't logged in every day, number one. Number two is when the bill came. So I had this check presenter. I'll pretend this is a check presenter. It came and I just tucked my card in. It was an expensive dinner, but I tucked it in. I didn't look at it. I didn't care what the bill was because I didn't care anymore. I do care. I'm still cognitive of prices and where I go to eat and whatnot. But there was once a time where I was like, I hope she doesn't order that glass of wine because that'll put me over the top. I'll take half cash and split the rest up on these 2 cards.
Exactly. It's a lot more fun to play, credit card roulette with friends or colleagues.
Yeah.
And have that be the angst. Is it going to be your card rather than I know it's my card and I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. But you talked about you're a bottleneck finder now at the position that where you are and kind of the success that you've had over, the past couple of years or so. But from what I know of your origin story, you were also very much a person that found open doors and opportunities. And that's actually, if I'm not mistaken, how you got into garage doors was you had a friend that was in it and you were painting. Is that correct? Painting the garage doors and you kind of the light kind of clicked on for you?
Yeah. I'm glad you did your homework. I was painting and I got really good. He said, hey, you want to make $100 a day painting garage doors? I said, a day. He knows a door, but most guys do a door a day. I got to the point where I was painting 10 doors a day. And man, I had this thing calculated. It was a system. It was a checklist. I'd run through. I'd go to Home Depot. I'd hand them 10 paint chips. I'd say, lighten this one 20%, darken this one, do this. I mean, I used to use speed coat. It was $9 a gallon. And then I'd fan on the first coat, fan on the second coat. I taped it all off, move on to the next. And I say, hey, Mr. Smith, just do me a favor, let this dry for 5 hours, then pull it off. that's because I was lazy and I wanted to move on and not wait for it to dry. So I got really, really efficient. And then I started calling every other garage door company saying, I want to be your painter. I want to be your painter. And then finally, after meeting up with all these different guys, one guy would be like, dude, I made this today or had this big job or this. I said, I got to look into this industry. So my roommate and my business partner from 2007 to 2010, we did okay. We made a lot of mistakes. I think the one thing about me is I go in head first and I make a lot of mistakes. I mean, most of my failure is due to my mistakes. I just don't make the same mistake twice, but I paid for consultant after consultant after consultant. I've got books from everything you could think of on how to train the master closer, Zig Ziglar's Selling 101, Fix This Next, Michael Michalowicz. I'm a student for life.
And that's sort of, mentality, a student for life, because there's a lot of people when they start to see some of the success, we talked about, the credit card and the check there. They really start to make a pivot in wanting to help others, and they forget to keep learning. How have you been able to do things like have a great podcast, author your own book, but still keep that mentality? Is it something you constantly check into, or are you the other way? Like you're constantly the student. Every so often you got to remember to package it to perhaps teach others.
Yeah, first of all, teaching allows me to remember my core values and what they are. So it reminds me, have more powerful meetings, make sure that you're checking in on the employees, the culture side of things. So it's kind of like when you work out with someone else, all of a sudden you're an awesome trainer. You're like 2 more sets. And all of a sudden your workouts are like 20 times better. So when I'm training, it kind of brings me back to be the best I could be. Number one, for my team and family. And then number two, I think the student for life thing is the more information I gather, the more deadly I am. I mean, I feel like I always say this, I'm playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers. I just got off with a data company, a data scientist that basically could take your data. And if you're paying 12% right now for marketing, it'll be 3% when they get done. And it's so much fun for me, though. That's the sad thing is it's like this adrenaline rush. It's this serotonin release. And I have so much fun. And I'm like, look, we're going to be the biggest garage door company in every city in North America. I'm going to go to Mexico. I'm going to go to Canada, probably Australia. And I'm talking Podunk, Mr. Nowhere, Mississippi. We are going to be in every single city. And we built it. Now we've got a plan. Now we just got to stick to the plan. And it's laser focus. It's a rifle shot. It's not as much of what I used to do is kind of, we'll do a shotgun approach and see what's working. So we've got the marketing and the sales figured out. And marketing is recruiting. Marketing is finding amazing customers. And keeping our internal customers happy. And I know that's said a lot there, but it's the vision. It's a dream that became a vision that became an implementation strategy. And that's the difference. A lot of people have a dream, but they never do anything with it.
Yeah. If you don't take your dreams from subconscious to conscious, tangible goals and efforts, then that's all they're going to do. It's just going to be something you see when you put your head down on the pillow. You have to have the mentality to kind of get after it. And you mentioned, about marketing kind of driving and funneling all those other things, recruiting. The big thing we've seen over the past couple of months has been, there's companies and there's individuals going out there and continued to market when struggles got bad, continue to drive forward. And they've kind of survived a bit because not only were they remaining front and center, including those that did social impact, remaining a member of the community, but they also were able to rely on kind of the goodwill, the culture, the fan base that they had already kind of cultivated. How much do you look into what type of customers you have versus as many customers as you possibly have? Are you actively building fan bases, things of that nature, or have you kind of just been able to roll along thus far?
There's two sides of it. For the people I like to work with, as far as me, I definitely like a higher end. You've already made it through. You're starting to hit in the millions of revenue because I like being grounded and going back to where my grassroots are. It's just, you need to experience. It's kind of like telling a kid, look, you got to do some of these things before, the dad that always says, I wish I knew then what I know now, but you got to make the mistakes first. And I feel like that third or fourth, fifth year, you're probably ready for some of the stuff I'm going to teach you. If you want me to tell you how to be successful, first of all, we need good data. We need, I need to start up here. I'm not going to create it for you. I don't have that left brain creation or right brain, creation. I'm more of like, you got this, I will take it up to here. So I'm a data guy. I'm all about key performance indicators. And as far as what I did in that whole thing was I reached out, I used a lot of social media. I top graded. I became a lot more lean. We got rid of stuff we weren't using. We got organized. We used that time where everybody else was under a bridge crying about how their life was. We used that time to go ahead and get at it. We're like, we need to triple our efforts now. For me, it's these things either break you or they build you. There's no in between. And for us, we did a quantum leap. I did a case study called The Rise of A1 COVID-19. It's 85 pages just on us. Because I said, this is the biggest thing we've been through other than when I was first getting into business with the housing crisis of 2008. But I think it's fight or flight. And I'm a big fighter. So we fought and here we are.
And do you think that your kind of history of success, even just with an A1 or even yourself personally, do you think that put you in a better position to kind of make it through as perhaps someone just starting out? Or is it, you know what, as long as you are true to who you are, you're true to your company culture, then that reputation will start growing kind of on its own? I mean, we all know reputation is important. I'm just saying, how much do you think yours in particular helped you kind of get through?
I don't know but particular, but I know I got a text message just earlier. A guy's flying home that just got trained. It says, and I get a lot of text messages. Hey, Tommy, it's James from the Denver market about to board my plane. I just wanted you to know it's been a blast and can't wait to come back. Also, running into Erica in the red, and they said to tell you hi. And my point is, all these guys and gals, I try to really bond with them. I try to give them a reason to say, I'm a cool guy, and I'm looking out for you. You got to love this company, love what you do, and I'll love you back, and my managers, and we're a team. And believe in our core values. Make them your own. And I said, the first thing I want you to do, Sean, when you get back home is go to the person you love the most other than your husband or wife. And I want you to go hook up their garage door at cost. I'm talking make that thing bulletproof, because when you look at our customers and our clients, I want you to say, this is what I did for my grandpa. My parents died when I was 4 and he took care of me. He's the love of my life. And I want you to know, this is what I did for my grandpa. And I want to take care of you like you're my grandpa. But you got to be able to say that and mean that with genuine eye contact. And I said, look, I took care of my mom's house a year and a half ago. She moved in a new build. We took everything down, rebuilt everything, and made it the best of the best. That's what mom gets. And I said, you guys need to care as much as I do. And if you don't, figure out what I need to do to get you to care more, because the garage door is 40% of your curb appeal. It's the smile of your home, and it's the only thing that gives you 102% return on investment.
I love when you say the smile on your home, because it's so true. Because, many people will focus, we deal with a lot of, window cleaners and landscapers and things like that. But there's just something about it is, very large percentage of us are not in a position to have gates on our home or everything like that. But if you have a garage, you have that garage door, you know how you feel when it goes up nice and smoothly, you look out on your domain, you look out, and you also know what it's like waiting for someone to kind of open and welcome you in to that kind of fortress. And I never really thought about it until I kind of heard you mention a couple of times, but people might not realize that they'll have kind of a connection to parts of their home like that. Do you find a lot of your sales pitch is less technical and more feeling, or does it? I obviously have a balance between client, but how much do you use that sort of entity as part of your sales pitch?
Well, number one, I trademarked that name, by the way, because I thought it was so good. Smile of your home. But I would say that people buy 98% off of feelings and they back it up with logic. There's a thing called a nugula, and then it controls your frontal cortex, and it buys off of emotion, and it backs it up with rationality. Oh, I'm brain farting. But long story short, I teach my guys build rapport, educate, follow up like crazy. But we ask a lot of questions. I say this, listen, if it were my mom and she was flipping a house, I would care more about curb appeal than insulation. If I spent all day in the garage and I had a freezer in there, I'd be talking a lot more about insulation. I'm going to ask a lot of questions to find out what's good for you. So I'm going to diagnose the person before I diagnose the problem. I think the problem with home service people is went all over the place. The problem with home service people is they tend to just go in and say, oops, I know what's broken. I'm the man. I can fix it. We think like a technician rather than thinking like a human being and caring and saying, listen, I'm going to do the right thing by you. I need to ask you some questions. When I go to the doctor, the first thing they do is take my weight, then they take my height, then they put this thing on, take my blood pressure. They ask me a lot of questions. Before they don't just say, oops, I know what you need.
Yeah.
So ask the right questions, talk to customers, tell them we care, and say, what is it going to take for me to earn your business? Because I know you're going to tell your friends, your neighbors, and your family all about us. And eye contact. So 7% of what we do is our words. And I use a lot of adjectives, describing adjectives that sell. But first of all, body language, eye contact, tonality. That's the other 93%. And if you could focus on that, I said, smile as much as you can. I don't have a resting smiley face. Like, I don't know, it's not great. But I said, we got to practice this stuff every day. Because when you smile, serotonin's released and it'll make you happier. It'll make you a better husband or wife. It'll make you a better son. It'll make you a better brother. Everything we need to do is based on these characteristics. And once you master it here, your life will become better because you can master it out of work. And it's fun because I'm starting to marry these two things outside of work. What do you like to do on your spare time? What, you like to run? What do you say? Rather than give you some bonus or extra pay, if you hit these numbers, I'm going to buy you the best pair of running shoes every other month. They're $400, but every time you look down and you're doing your pastime, you're going to say A1, A1, A1. And that's more of the culture and leadership side of me. But, I've talked to a lot of people that are like, don't talk about that stuff. Just talk about sales and marketing because you love that so much.
Yeah, I almost would disagree with that in a sense, because I think passion and having that drive in every element of your business will help your sales and marketing. But if you're just throwing tips, it's kind of like, it's not a calculator in that regard. You can't just go in and type something in and get the same result out. You talk about asking questions and finding things out. One of the things we do here at NiceJob is kind of analyzing, who's leaving reviews, what type of customer they are, to kind of give more data to business owners so that they can get, more referrals, more sales and things of that nature. But it comes down to that human element that'll never go away. I wanted to go back when you talked about, if you do a good job, they're going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their family and things like that. When you are working, say, in a neighborhood where you've done a couple of houses, is that a little bit harder because there's now almost right next door? They want to make sure that it's just as good a job as next door? Or is it a little easier because they already kind of had that social proof come in?
It's easier. Anytime that they've seen our trucks drive around, they've seen our billboards, they called us, the conversion rate goes up, the average ticket goes up, the less competitor estimates. And they just say, I know you, I like you, I trust you, I'm buying from you. And that's what we're trying to create. See, I spend a lot of money now, different than what I would have said 2 years ago. I used to be direct response, get the lead generation, garage door repair Phoenix, you want to show up. Now I'm like, you want them to type in A1 garage door service all over Google, all over Facebook, everywhere you could be, Yelp, Angie's List. You want them choosing us because that way they're not price shoppers. They're going after value. And that means they want it on time, they want it on budget, and they want it done right. And I think we can deliver on all three of those things because we are the best. I'm telling you this, if there's a person that's carrying a better part out there, all of our stuff is separately bought. I mean, we go to the best of the best. Our vans are like, they're so awesome. It's like the pride and joy of the company. And this building now, I actually called a specialist to come in and help us stay amazingly next level organized. I said, listen, when someone walks in this building, I want their jaw to drop. And I want them to say, how is this possible? And we're not far from that. I mean, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy out there. First of all, I need to live and breathe everything I preach. And right now I've had 25 books show up in the last 2 days. So my desk I'm kind of organizing which ones I'm going to read and when. But I do think that there's a lot to be said about telling your friends, neighbors, and family. And reviews are a great way to do it. And The difference is gamifying it, letting the customer know there's a game going around it, and seeing if you could leave me all 5 of these, that would be awesome, because you're almost ensuring me that I win, because my last 2 customers did it. And make sure you mention my name in that review. Now, what that does for the employee and the technician in this case is that's going to ensure that he's getting a lot of calls of people asking for him. So, and I like doing Facebook Lives in front of their new door, and then taking that and tagging them on there so it's shared. There's a lot of stuff. And I do believe in automation, but I also believe that there's something to be said about actually, like, I don't know about any software that'll automatically find that person's profile and tag them in it, unless you do a search for it. So,
yeah, it's great because you talk about when you kind of tag and use social media, and that's a great way to kind of build social proof. Reviews, obviously, much, much more. But when you can you talk about like Facebook Live and doing something like that, when it's like that real time social proof, it's incredible, because there has to be a time, I don't know if it's happened to you specifically, where you've been doing a live at somebody and the neighbor tunes into the live, or the neighbor just sees you out there and is trying to figure out what's going on out there. And you talked about, gamifying, the customer's investment in you, making it, maybe you're stoking their competitiveness or just making them feel kind of a part of it. It's a great way to build community. And I want to bring up Bobby Walker, who he asked a question, because I asked you if they had questions. You kind of already covered it earlier in the conversation, but Bobby Walker has a script that he kind of uses. He does use NiceJob, but he doesn't use it fully automated, because he likes to build up and have it be at a key moment. And I think that's another key thing with automation. It's great if you can set it and forget it, but there's a way to kind of enhance and go a bit further. That makes it even better, because now your company is using it your way. Overall, how much, I don't know if you have a percentage or anything like that, but how much do you rely on automation, or what do you look for in an automation? Might be the better question.
Yeah, anytime you going lean is automate. Software is automation. Software is amazing. So ServiceTime does well for me. I've run a lot of softwares. I use Greenhouse. I use I use RexText. I use Scipio. I could go on and on. I probably have 25 softwares we're running for different things. One's for recruiting. One's for face-to-face interviews. One's for I love automation, and I rely on it. I mean, I had a guy come through here the other day, and he's like, dude, you guys are a technology company. And I'm like, yeah, you should see. We use there's so many data things we log into. We use Construction Monitor. I mean, it's crazy how much stuff we're getting ready to probably use something kind of like, oh man, what's the thing I'm looking for? It's not ClickFunnels, but basically it does email, text, voicemail drops, all kinds of different things, Active Campaign. And I think the key is with software is to create accountability. I love inspecting what I expect. I think that people will not follow the rules unless unless you're checking. I think people get lazy. They figure out workarounds. ServiceTime, when we first got on it 4 years ago, used to allow you to upload a picture from your gallery of the sticker. Well, what happened? The guys took 10 pictures, and I found out that I looked at it and I said, this is the same freaking sticker as this one and this one. And they were rotating. They did a good job of tricking the system. But I'm like, it's a freaking sticker. How hard is it? But so then I told ServiceTime, you got to make it so you got to upload, or so you can upload. It's got to be real time into the system. So they did that for us. So I think I like to hold people accountable. Today I said, if you guys don't like what I have to say, I'm fine with that. And you don't like the leadership team, you don't like the managers and the supervisors. But I'll tell you this, I was on a podcast last week, and the first thing I told the owner of the company, I said, he asked me a question. He said, how do you really get the buy-in from the employees? I said, you get rid of the cancer. If anybody rolls their eyes or shrugs their head or is not following or just they don't believe, those are the first people you need to fire. You need to get them the hell out as fast as you can. I don't care if they're top producers. I've let go of my top 5 guys over the last 10 years. And I don't care, because once you do that, you set a precedence. You set a culture. You set a real reason to be there. And I know, like I said, I go off on some tangents, but it's like top of mind. And we didn't script any of this. And it's just, for me, with software, the main goal going back to it is accountability and being able to inspect what I expect and track stuff. Because without data, I'm useless. I can't fix anything.
And you talked about using, multiple softwares, but I also know you talked about, to touch off some of the things you just said to kind of combine it all together, eliminating cancers and things like that, is I know that you are very, I don't want to say particular, but you recruit new talents. You try to go find the best and then bring them in to A1. But you're also not afraid to almost treat it kind of like you see, make a little sport reference here, like baseball, of getting the right specialist, the left-handed pitcher, the ground ball specialist, and like that. Is I know you're very particular. I would love for you to dive in a bit more about when you kind of do roles, because you more so than anyone I've really talked to in a bit, just in looking recently, you really get diversified positions within your company. And I want to know why particular you don't hire generalists and look more specialist in that regard.
Adam's my COO, and he's always said, well, we got that person. They're not busy 80% they're not always busy. And so he's always tried to get people to do multiple tasks. And what ends up happening is when everybody's responsible, nobody's responsible. You need a head of everything, someone that you could go to when they're winning. And I love going to them when they're winning. But there's also the losing aspect, which I don't like to talk about. But we've had one-on-ones and serious conversations. But it all starts with manuals. And it starts, Al Levy taught me this. And I go through and we write down their job and we let them know the manual is how you play the game. So when I was young, I actually had sheets of paper that I learned how to play football, basketball, baseball. My gym teacher, once a week, one day out of the week, 1 out of the 5, would teach us how to play a game, and he'd quiz us in gym. So he taught us how to play. And then the KPIs are the scoreboard. So when I'm building a compensation plan and putting a job structure together, I say, what do they have in their control? No more than 5 things. So 5 KPIs. What can they directly influence? And then you got to run through about 60 days to make sure the pay makes sense. And then you got to pay the dollars. I don't care if they go up as long as the KPIs, and I got to put a value on that stuff. And it takes some time. It's not easy. And I'm going to build a whiteboard video on how I do it. But ultimately, it's a laser-focused job, because when you got a jack of all trades, they get some stuff done some weeks, some other times. No one's accountable. And you replace productivity with activity. And now you don't get a lot done. So I think it's important to have a very specific department for each and everything. And that's how you build a monster company.
And when you get a jack of all trades, and they're positive, they have the right energy of the culture, how do you just look at what there might be the best at and migrate them or change their position to be more specialized? Because I feel like a lot of people, when they join a company, especially one like yours that has a reputation for great service, things like that, is they almost default into wanting to be a jack of all trades, because that's the mentality, especially the younger generation kind of comes up through, is I got to do anything I can to be the star here. Whereas perhaps the easier path, not the easier path, but the more direct path to stardom is to be the best at that particular lane.
So I use a thing called predictive index, and that's a personality profile assessment test. It helps us write ads. It helps us put together exactly what we're looking for in a person. And, you don't want the same person answering the calls as a dispatcher. A dispatcher is more of a puzzle solver. They're busybodies. They're very good at thinking on their feet. Whereas, accounting, you're looking for data accuracy. And finance, I want to know that these numbers are accurate. I want to know that you love numbers, numbers, you understand finance. Finance is more about, my CFO is more about where do we save money? He understands the big structure. He reports to us. He says, hey, our refunds are too high. He makes analogies like our discounts might be a little bit too high this month. And we start looking at patterns, and that's what he does. And every single role, a lot of times I'll get the right person on the bus, but not in the right seat. So it's important to realize that quickly. If they bought in, they're a big fan, they're fighting for you, they're smiling all the time, I'll find them a right seat on the bus. But that seat usually has a box, and I don't make a box for the person. I find the right person for the box. And that's the biggest difference of a company that knows what they're doing. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like I said, I've been down the wrong road a million times, and I've made all the mistakes, and I make them quick, and they cost me a lot of money. So I try not to do them a lot.
And if you end up in a situation where you have a full box or a full row of seats, How do you handle that? Because that was something that actually came up in a conversation a couple of podcasts back with Brandon Vaughn, where I talked about, when you kind of recruit and you go out, you look for certain things, but what if you end up with too much talent in one area? You don't want to let go of a good, person in that regard. Is that where kind of, training funnels or things like that come in?
I don't think I'll ever be caught up in hiring, because right now I think I could build endless amount of leads. I literally think I could stack. If I get the right thing together, capacity is the hardest part. Understanding capacity boards. And that's what I'm just mesmerized by learning. I think the biggest secret I've learned in the last few weeks is nobody likes to work nights or weekends. So that's where we're building all of our shifts, because we could run everything. We could pull from tomorrow's demand. We could pull from Saturday, Sunday demand and fill up our shift. Or if we fill up, we could put it back out there, or we could go nights and weekends. And the cost per click is a third of the price. There's no traffic at night. Customers have better conversion rate. You could charge more. They pay, like, the ends don't matter. All I can tell you is I've never had a problem. If I got the right guys, I'll give them a minimum and I'll say, I'll get the jobs.
Yeah.
The CSRs, I need more CSRs all the time. The dispatchers, more dispatchers. I never had a time where I'm like, ooh, we're good. There's never, with a growing business, to be content is probably the worst thing you could be. It's like I'm just hovering over water. I'm not moving forward. I'm not moving backward. I'm just kind of here in the middle of the ocean. I'm like this. You got to be on a jet boat going forward. If you're not, your competition will. And I'm not going to give my competition a chance to keep up, because they like to learn what we're doing. And they spend so much time worrying about me that they don't have any idea what the hell is going on in here where I'm going. So they could keep catching up to what I was doing a year ago. But in the future, it's going to be freaking nutty next year. It's going to be freaking nuts. I figured out I need 2,000 technicians to do $1 billion. So if I get 70 a month, that's roughly, I'm just going to say easy numbers and get rid of a lot of them, because some of them fall off, 600 a year. Within about 3.5 years, I'm $1 billion. But now I figured out a way to surpass that by 10 times. So, and I think we're going to be the largest, most trusted home service company that's ever been and ever will be.
That's
kind of. I don't know if I could say ever will be, but that's kind of it's kind of a big thought to think about. And it's not because I'm conceited. It's because I've got the best team you've ever dreamed of. I've got the dream team. I've got Michael Jordan. I've got Larry Bird. I've got everybody on the team.
Yeah, so. I think you can make that claim, because a great, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it was the kind of the great quote where he's like, you're going to say you're the best that ever will be. Remember, that's just in your lifetime. That's all you need to care about. And the mind, and where that talk kind of went with is like, look, like, do what's for you. Don't worry about 10,000 years in the future, because that's not going to be your lifestyle. But your last breath, if you can be the best there is at that moment, at your last breath, what an incredible feeling that would be. And I want to go back to your answer there, is that it sounds like if you found yourself thinking that you had too many, technicians or too many anything like that, more than likely it's you don't have enough work. And so if you started to see yourself getting in the box getting too full, you would immediately shift and know that's where the bottleneck is.
Real quick, I want to say one thing about that, because everybody says, I need more jobs. I need more jobs. You either hear I need more people or I need more jobs. For me, I'm all about the right people. If I got the right people, I'll keep them coming in. I'll hire an extra 100 technicians today, an extra 100. I've got 35 more coming in 2 weeks. 35 are graduating. I want to get to that 70 level by the beginning of next year. But ultimately, the right technicians, they're out handing out their cards. They're putting yard signs out. They're getting reviews. They're smiling. They're talking to people at the gas station. They're out there talking to their church. They're telling their friends and family, the best network you could have. They're talking to the neighbors. They're door knocking. The right employees are the key. And I was asked backwards 3 years ago. I didn't understand that. I thought I needed leads, get more leads. Now I'm like, people. A players, 1A equals 3 B players equals 9 C players. But we develop A players here. They don't start out, a lot of them. How is someone supposed to walk in the door unless they got previous experience? And typically I won't hire someone with previous experience. I want them to learn the A1 way. But you turn them into A players. You care about them. You love them. You treat them like family. And it's hard. I wish I knew everybody's name. I mean, I don't. We're getting name tags. But part of that is using their name, inviting them. You know, I bought a pretty nice house, and I said, I'm using this house recently. I closed on it 2 days ago. I said, the reason I want this house is so anybody could use it when they need it. Anybody could come. Every employee will get to benefit from this house. It's going to be a house for the employees. It's going to be a house of the company. It's not, look what Tommy did. No, everybody here has worked their butt off, and they're sprinting right now. We're sprinting. So it's fun.
It's so great to hear when you talk about it, you know, that A equals 3B. I forget the exact numbers you did there, but that sort of mentality of bringing someone in that has a raw skill. You were actually, when I joined NiceJob a little over a year ago, didn't have much, knowledge kind of home search. So my sort of background came from, studying, fan culture and motivating, like a marketing sort of an execution of marketing sort of background. And I heard you talk about, speaking live, about why you recruit and who you look for and how you're looking for the person working at the grocery store to come in because you could train them there. Because it reminded me of my sports background of like, if you get the player, get them into the system, you watch how quickly they go. And you always hear about, oh, this was an overlooked draft pick or an overlooked this. Then when he got to this team, who knew he was an all-star? And it's based on that structure and that culture. I want to go back to something you said about, your competitors are watching what you're doing now. And if they're watching what you're doing now, then they're too late. How do you look at your competitors as well? Or are you self-driven in that regard? Because it's interesting, and a lot of you I talk to, it's side by side where some say, you know what? You have to know what works, look at data and figure it out. And what your competitors were doing, if you're full steam ahead, they'll still never catch you because you already have the lead. And other people say, if you're not watching what your competitors are doing, then all of a sudden that's when you get caught from behind. What is your take on that?
There's a few aspects there. I think the main thing is that I look at the best industry in the world, which is HVAC right now. And I look at the leaders of HVAC. They take my call. Some of them are doing 850 million. And I can have conversations to find out, because that's where I'm going. So I think the big thing is figure out where you want to go. If it's a competitor and you want to get to that size, then analyze the competitor and work towards that. But ultimately, I was on the phone the other day with a really, really, really genius guy. I won't go into details, but he said, no one's going to be able to get the links that you get with your charity program. No one's going to be able to do the things that you're able to do with the EDU links, with the school that you want to mentor. And the things that you're doing naturally are causing an effect that no one else is going to be able to compete with. I never looked to see what the competitors are doing. I say they're not competition. My mentors are in other industries. So I think taking things from pest control, HVAC, roofing, gutters, some really big companies, and applying those same principles, I find the best of the best of the best at mailers. And then I do it at SEO. Then I do it on pay-per-click. Then I figure out social. And the things, these guys are like, they're literally playing tic-tac-toe and we're playing advanced freaking calculus, So I literally, Adam always says, dude, you don't like to lose. I say, no, I look at every marketing source and I say, I need to dominate the reviews. I need to dominate the link building. I need to have a better conversion page. I need to have a higher click-through, more participation on it, more clicks, higher quality scores. Like every single thing you could think of in business, I want to win at. And it's just because I'm a competitive guy and I enjoy it. You're not supposed to love this stuff like I do. Who loves to talk about quality scores on Google?
Huh.
This guy.
and how did you, it seems like a basic question, but I think it's worth asking. Like, there's some people that say, like, I don't know if I could ever love that. How did you learn to love things? Is it finding one part about it, or is it seeing the success from knowing and being involved in it?
There's something about it's the rush. It's like when you see what it does once you build it, if you see the outcome, I don't have any kids yet, but I know that the best day of my life is when that kid is actually born and you learn to love it, because it's like, we made this. The fact that we've made this stuff and we've learned about it. We've taken stuff from 20 companies, dialed it in, shaped it to be ours, and made it, and look at the results. Those results, they defy gravity. I mean, it's amazing what they do. And when you watch it and people are like, dude, how's that possible? I'm like, every day I feel like, I always tell Adam, I'm like, man, and me and Adam talk every night. I'm like, this isn't supposed to be this fun. I'm not supposed to have this much fun doing this stuff. But I'm like, And he's like, I'm such an optimist and a dreamer, and he's more pulls me back down sometimes and says, okay, let's just get through this first. And I'm like, okay, Dad. But it's fun. And I think it's fun to win. And I think it's fun that that money is not the true thing driving me forward. It was, but financial freedom was. Now it's like, dude, let's do something big. Let's do something legacy. Let's do something no one else has ever even dreamed up or fathomed. I mean, someone's already dreamed up everything, I think. But for us, I think we see a highway to get there and get there fast.
And so is the big B, is the billion, is that the focus right now?
It was, I put a number on it, but now I think the thing I'm starting to realize the more my mind is just these last couple of weeks is I've got to become a better trainer. I've got to get guys in here with better systems, better recruiting, and the next class gets better than the next. But I've talked about setting cones up for how to back up the trucks. We talked about getting steel-toed boots, just these little things that sign-offs, acknowledgments. I don't want my guys getting hurt. I want them wearing gloves. I want them wearing eye contacts. We made a big deal recently with Milwaukee, and they're custom fabricating a lot of stuff for us. I mean, ultimately, I think it's the system in which you get the great people is the ultimate outlier when we talk about this stuff. If you've got the right recruiting, orienting, training, and retaining process, the rest of it will come. Now you just throw on mad sales skills with mad marketing on top of that. That's a nuclear bomb. It's like, it's a nuclear bomb times 10 million. I mean, it really is. Cause it defies everything you've ever heard. It's like, I got to have leads. We got to go after leads. We got to do marketing. No. The great people tell the world. They're on social media. They're on Snapchat and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram. And they're out there doing posts on Pinterest and Houzz. They're out there going above and beyond, posting ads on Craigslist to get business, even though it's not their business, because they know what's going to happen when they do. Each one of my guys get 10%. Anybody here, if they give out their card, that's got a call tracking number, they're going to make 10%, even if they don't do the job. So they all become mini marketers. And the success of it is like, I just know my competition doesn't like me. A lot of them do, though. A lot of them, because of the podcast, are like, dude, just don't come into my town. I'm like, I'm coming. But we can team up. But I'm like, but here's the cool thing about me is I tell everybody exactly what I'm doing. My competitions, I've had 35 garage store owners in this office, showed them these screens. And I'm like, this is what I'm doing. But good luck. This is what I'm doing today. And the thing is, I think they appreciate the fact that I put it all out there. There's no secrets. I'm not like, ooh, I got a secret potion. I'm like, look, this is what I'm doing. I treat employees great. I love customers. I treat them like mom. I love carrying the best parts with the best vans with the best. We got a hub and spoke model. I got the best mentors in the world. And if you want to win, you get the best. I said the other day I got beaten bags. I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I got my butt whooped. So I said, I'm finding a bags trainer. I'm gonna win in cornhole. So I got to find a trainer in cornhole, but I will be prepared next time I see my cousins. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I cannot imagine, honestly, what the Mello competitive, like the family cornhole game, how much they could get. Because I see your drive, I see your passion. And one thing, Tommy, I said to you when we first met before, is it's a realness, but not like the branding real. But also, I love that you are willing to say, it's not that I know everything. It's just I won't stop until I'm continually searching answers. You say you're still a student. I know a lot of people see you as the podcast host, things like that. But for me, I always find it very intriguing when you use that student approach. And I think that's, in my opinion, something that's made you kind of successful when it comes to the podcast realm, the author realm, and things like that. Anything new coming outside of A1 that you can tease, let people know about? Anything with the podcast? Anything? You're going to make a movie of your life? What's next in the world of Tommy Mello?
Well, let's see here. Other than A1, we're working on a new thing for A1. A new thing for A1. I'm not going to go into details, and I'm not afraid to tell people. I just want to get it perfect because you're going to see within 6 months what we're doing. It's going to be crazy, but we're looking for a new thing that it's the bottom-up approach instead of the top-down approach to enter a market, and it is going to revolutionize our business. It's going to make it so we can grow thousands of % a year rather than tens of percentages a year. So that's where my mind's at, is going, holy crap, what am I going to do? How do I get this? And I'm all about, where's the manual? What are the systems? What are the standard operating procedures? All that stuff. But as far as Tommy Mello goes, the podcast is going great. We're starting to coach some clients. I kind of am like, don't pay me. Let me just take 10% of your company, because if you're doing 2 million, you'll be doing 10 million next year. Because I got the Rolodex of all the right people, and it's taken me years. I'm like a spy. I got to go find these people, and I get them on the podcast, and I learn about them, and I get the real of the real of the real. So I find the best. And when you start taking my Rolodex, adding in some systems, adding in, it's crazy what you could get when you have effective meetings and manuals and learn how to delegate properly. So when I'm coaching these people, I'm like, I really would rather have, like, I'm going to show, like, you guys are going to live the best life of you ever dreamed of. How much money do you want? How much are you good with? Are you passing the business on to your kids? Let's define everything you want, and I'll get you there fast. So I love the one-on-one stuff. I'm doing it with Gianni, who helps me along with the podcast. And it's super fun with that. And then what else am I doing? I'm moving into this new house, and looking forward to that. It's something very nice, and I've not really got myself anything nice. I'm fine with my old truck, and I'm fine with my apartment. Actually, I needed 3 more spots to get guys to train in, so I was like, might as well get a house, and I really got a good price. I shot a price at them, and they took it. And then I renegotiated some stuff at the end, and it was like, I've got 25% equity into the house before I move in it, and I'm financing all the cash back out of it. It's crazy what I did, but it's more of an investment, so I'm looking forward to that. And then looking forward to getting back out on the road. I just want to start traveling again and get this whole COVID shit behind us. And I really want to go to Greece. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Hungary. I want to work mobily, but I like to be home too. I got to just say, I'm 37, man. I gotta get some of this stuff off the bucket list, and then I got to start thinking about baby Tommies running around here. Hopefully they don't have my energy, because I'll be SOL if they do.
I was going to say, you got 25 books on your desk and all those plans and throwing kids in the mix. But, if anyone will dive full into it, I absolutely know it'll be you, Tommy. Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Nice Job podcast here and converse with you a bit and kind of sharing a little bit of you with our audience, which I know they're going to get a lot out of it. But at the very end, I always appreciate just personally to get a chance to talk to individuals that are passionate about what they're doing. And continue to do the work. So best of success to you, my friend, and thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate being here. Had a blast, and let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And for all of you that were watching, whether it's live on Facebook or you're listening to the audio replay on YouTube or on our podcast, thank you so much. Feel free to like, subscribe, and share. At the very least, just take something from this podcast and put it into your day today. As always, hope you're staying safe, hope you're staying healthy, and don't forget to have a little fun out there. Have a great day, everybody.